I'm Chef Julia Dunaway, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Ultimate Weight Loss Bundle. It's released from February 3rd through the 12th, 2023. It's a 10-day offer. So if you're watching this after that time period, it's over. So, but if you're watching it now and it's currently going on, I hope you take advantage of it. A bundle is really a collection of contributions from a number of sources and resources. So for example, this bundle has over 100 and I think the last I looked about 110 different contributions. And they're everything from ebooks to e-courses to workouts, presentations, cooking classes from plant-based doctors, chefs, creators, and it's all focused on whole food, plant-based, no oil, weight loss kind of oriented content. So, and some things are very directed toward weight loss. There are some actual courses and ebooks around areas such as binge eating, which I found to be very helpful, even though I didn't think I really struggled with it. After I started looking at the course from a contributor about binge eating, I thought that it was very helpful. It was helpful to me. It was by Julie Lance. It was called How to Stop Binge Eating and Start Living Again. I really liked that. And there's a yoga teacher certification course. There is the Mary's mini course, if you've ever been curious about Mary McDougall's mini course that helps people get off of a plateau or make some progress. I thought that was a good one. PBNSG, Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group, has contributed a 170-page cookbook. So there are lots of things. And of course, last but not least, I developed a whole new ebook just for the bundle. And it's an ebook, but I printed it out so I would have a copy of it to show and to look at because, you know, I'm kind of old school. I like printed things. But my beautiful ebook, beautiful to me anyway, my daughter helped me with it, has 70 recipes, all plant-based Japanese. And I really loved making this ebook because I wrote a story about my mother, my Japanese mother, and have a nice picture of her and my father and their story. And I grew up eating Japanese food. My mother was Japanese. She died several years ago, but that's how I became so interested in Asian food, because I grew up in a household where I got to eat it and enjoy it. And I lived in Japan for about 4 years. So my contribution new to the bundle was my ebook called Plant-Based Japanese that I'll be selling for $25 once the bundle's over. But for now, you can get this whole set of 110 plus different contributions for $49. And that's just during that period from February 3 to 12. So if you don't get it then, it's not going to be available later. Now, it's a lot of stuff, and what you do is you download it or you get the information on how to get to the link to take the class. But you don't have to download all of it. I know in the last bundle I was involved in, people were so worried about having all of this content that they didn't want. Well, you don't have to download all of it. You can pick and choose which ones you really want. So for example, I went through all the different contributions, the courses, the ebooks, and some of course were not that interesting to me, and so I just said, okay, no, I don't really want to look at that one. But there were so many that were, and if I started adding up all the ones that I like personally, and I have lots of stuff, so I really don't need any more things to look at any time of the day. I have things I haven't read at home, but I found several that I really wanted to look at. I found Kathy Hester, who I really like. She contributed 3 of her most popular classes: the stews for the Instant Pot, a dehydrator class, which I've always wanted to know how to really work with dehydrators, and I'm going to really look at that one, and then an air fryer fun. And everyone always wants to know about how to use the air fryer right. I get that all the time. People have an air fryer, but everything they cook in it doesn't turn out. So I'm anxious to look at Kathy Hester's. And then a friend of mine, Elspeth Feldman, the Speedy Vegan, she contributed an ebook from recipes from Costa Rica. So I love everything she does. So I've just been taking notes about all the things in here. Everything from the Vegan Booty book, a guide to sculpting a peachy vegan body. Now, who doesn't want that? I could use that. So anyway, if you decide to do it, great. I hope you do. If not, you know, just buy my ebook at some point if you want it. But I'm doing a series of videos with recipes from my new ebook. And I really wanted to start with an intro about this bundle so you kind of understand what it is. But remember, it doesn't come out until February 3rd and it's over February the 12th. So don't wait around, because if you don't get it, you won't get another chance. And please use the link that is in the show notes or provided in whatever message that comes with this video so that you can use that link that applies to my account, so I'll get credit for it. Otherwise, I won't get any credit for you purchasing it through me. So thank you very much for your support. And I hope you decide to get the bundle. I really do think it's worth whatever you pay for it, and you will get lots of value from it. So thank you, and now I'm going to start making some videos. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, I'm Chef Julia Dunaway, and today I'm going to be making Rice Ramen Noodle Bowl. And it's in my new ebook called Plant-Based Japanese. This ebook was introduced from February the 3rd to the 12th of 2023 as part of a bundle called Ultimate Weight Loss. And it's available also, once that's over, on my website, chef-julia.com. But I wanted to make some recipes from this ebook since it's being released during this week. And I picked one of the recipes called Rice Ramen Noodle Bowl because I really like it and it's delicious. And I think you'll like it too. And it's a little different because we're using these black rice noodles. And this company, Lotus Foods, has a lot of rice noodles out now. Brown rice noodles, black rice noodles, probably red rice noodles. And I hadn't really been using them because I didn't think they would be good, but I started experimenting with them and they're pretty good. But what's really kind of misleading is one of these little blocks is 2 servings. So, you know, I said in my recipe to use the whole 10-ounce bag. And if you do that, you end up getting a lot of noodles. Well, I'm not big on eating a lot of noodles at one time. I'm eating less stuff like noodles. So I found that you can make my recipe with 2 blocks of noodles instead of 4 blocks of noodles. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I'd rather you have a lot more vegetables and less noodles than a ton of noodles, just because I follow the Daily Dozen, and I try to have a reasonable amount of grains and starchy foods, but also try to emphasize more of the vegetables. So this is plenty. We don't need to make all 4 packets, but if you want to make more generous servings of noodles, go ahead and make all 4, but really you only need 2. And I'm going to start those right now. It's going to take 5 minutes in this boiling water I have right over here. And I'm going to put them in the boiling water and break them up here pretty quickly. But really it takes a total of 5 minutes to have these done. And you don't want to overcook them, because since they're a rice noodle, they will get soggy. So I'm going to keep an eye on my watch and get them in 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to start cooking some cabbage. I've got, about a half a head of cabbage, but it's a really big head of cabbage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the more tender green leaves from the top of both pieces of this half a cabbage and leave some of the lighter colored core, because I think the outer leaves taste better to me. I kind of smash it down, and I'm just going to cut it into little squares. And I'm going to get this in my pan, which is already heated up to about kind of medium-high heat. And I'm going to get this going because I want to give the cabbage a couple extra minutes before I add the other vegetables, because it just takes longer. I've got my burner kind of, I'm turning it up to medium-high. Now, once you get these noodles going, you're supposed to kind of break them up a little bit after they've been in there, because they'll stay in that big block if you don't break them up yourself. So you have to get in there and kind of break them up with your, I'm using these rubber tip tongs because they're not going to damage them. Make sure the heat's up so they get back to a boil. But you know, I've read a lot of things about these rice noodles. There were some bad reviews where people said they were gummy and terrible and they didn't like them. But I realized probably the people that made them did not really know how to use them, because they are a little tricky. And I'm going to explain to you how to make the best out of these noodles, because they don't hold the same way as your typical wheat noodles because they are made of rice, and so they're going to react differently. So if you expect them to act like your traditional old noodles, they just don't. So I'll share with you what I've learned from making them with stuff. Okay, so I want to get my cabbage going and give it a head start. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit higher to give it a little head start, and I'm going to get some water ready in case I need a little water. If it starts to, you know, like, see how hot my pan is? Add a little water to it, and that'll give it a little head start. All right, so, and then what I can do also is I can put the lid on my pan. That way it won't be so noisy, and also the cabbage will cook faster. I want to cook it, I want it to be tender crisp, but I don't want it to be soggy, okay? All right, so the noodles are doing good. Remember, 5 minutes. What other vegetables am I going to put into this dish? Because it's a ramen noodle bowl, but it's not really a soup. It's just kind of a noodle with a sauce. I have red bell pepper, onions, some scallions, carrots, and shiitake mushrooms. So I'm going to start getting the harder vegetables in my pan quickly. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just cutting some bell pepper into julienne strips because that's how I like them. And I'll probably cut these in half because they're so long. It's a really big red bell pepper. And it's about half of a really big red bell pepper. All right, so this cabbage, see, the cabbage had a nice head start, so it's softened up a little bit. All right, we're at 4 minutes. 1 more minute, and then I can get those noodles out. Then now I've got onion, and I'm just going to slice my onion. It's a sweet, one of these kind of sweet Texas yellow onions that I really like. And let's see, I think that's enough of that. And I'm going to cut these half moons into quarters because they're kind of big pieces. We don't want anything that big. Okay, it's 5 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the heat on my skillet so it doesn't burn when I'm not paying attention. And I'm going to get these out. Let me change my view a little here. So what I need to do is I'm going to use my spider tool to get the noodles out because I need to save the broth. I'm going to use this kind of starchy broth in my sauce. So if I dump it down the drain, then I won't have any sauce. I'll have to use, I guess I could find vegetable broth or something. Okay, I think I got them all. Here, let's put up the stragglers. Now what's important in these black rice noodles and a lot of these Lotus Food noodles is you have to rinse them with cold water when you're done cooking them so they don't stick together. So I'm just kind of rinsing them with water, okay? So that's all I did. I rinsed them with a little cold water. And what's going to happen while they sit here is they're probably going to get sticky all over again because that's happened to me. While they're sitting out waiting for the other stuff to cook, the black rice noodles will start getting sticky again. But it doesn't really matter because we're going to put broth over them. Like we're going to put a sauce over them. So it won't matter if they're a little sticky. But if you were going to put them in something where they need to not be sticky, you can just go run them through water again. It's not hard. Okay, now I'm going to cut my shiitake mushrooms. With shiitake mushrooms, always remember that you can't eat the stems. They're inedible. They're very tough and hard. And I know people that are used to eating mushroom stems from other kinds of mushrooms sometimes think they can eat the shiitake mushroom stems, but you really can't. I'm just cutting them in strips. I'm going to try to get them in my pan pretty quickly. And I think the more vegetables, the better in this dish, because remember, I like to have more vegetables and less noodles because of the volume. You know, the calorie density issue is, the calorie density issue is, the lower calorie density foods are like vegetables, like these fresh vegetables. They fill you up, but they have fewer calories than, say, bread, noodles, rice, pasta. Those things, you know, they're higher, they're just higher in calories all around, and it's easy to overeat them because they usually taste really good, right? Who doesn't love a big bowl of noodles? But if you think about the serving sizes of noodles, and you go to a typical restaurant, they're probably giving you 5 servings of noodles, and you think you're just getting one meal, but you're getting the equivalent of several meals. So, you know, it's hard to stay slim and trim and healthy when you're overeating things. So I'm grating up this carrot. We don't want a ton of carrot, but carrot makes a nice color in this dish. And we're also going to put some tofu on it. So this dish consists of some black rice noodles, a bunch of vegetables that we're sauteing up in this pan, a nice sauce, and some sesame ginger tofu on top. Doesn't that sound good? Sounds good to me, my kind of food. All right, so we got our carrots, cabbage, red bell pepper. That looks so good. And this is nothing but sauteed vegetables. We've used a little bit of water, not much. Maybe it needs a little bit more. It's starting to stick over here. And the water will just keep it from sticking because I have the heat kind of high. So I don't want to steam my vegetables. I want to saute them. And so I have to have the heat kind of high in my pan. Don't be afraid to use high heat. Now, how am I going to know when this is done? Well, I can, you know, taste my vegetable. Perfect. Tender, crisp, but it's done. I'll taste the bell pepper. I like it. I don't want it to get soggy and soft. Okay. I think that's all it needs. I'll let it go a little bit longer while I'm putting together my bowls. That way it can cook just a little bit more. So then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start assembling my bowls. But first let me get my tofu ready because we have to have the tofu. So let's say that you had tofu that you made earlier. So I made this tofu, sesame ginger tofu, and I made it earlier today. And what I'm going to do, it's got a little teriyaki sauce on it. I'm going to cut it into cubes. And the recipe for the sesame ginger tofu will be here. And it's something that I made a separate YouTube video just on how to make sesame ginger tofu because so many people always ask me about this recipe. So I'm going to cut it into kind of like strips. I think that would be good in this preparation, the look of it. So I cut it into long strips, like 4 long strips, and then I cut that in half. So then I have all these nice long strips of tofu. That one's kind of thick. Make them look good. I'll do the last 2 in strips. And there we go. We have a nice pile of our delicious tofu that I made earlier today on a previous video. And then I have my vegetables. And I think that kind of got them just where they need to be. Now they look kind of plain, but remember I'm going to make a sauce. In fact, let's make our sauce right now. And remember we have the noodles. So the noodles are here. They're not sticking together. They're doing good. So how do we make our sauce? The sauce comes together really fast because the sauce is using our pasta water. So I'm just going to grab about 1.5 cups right out of that pan, and I'm going to add some things to it. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of my teriyaki sauce. This is Tommie's teriyaki sauce. Tommie was my Japanese mother, and she always had this at home, always in a jelly jar in the fridge my whole life. And so I got her recipe at some point and started making it for my family and putting it on everything. And of course my kids love it. Grandkids love teriyaki sauce. So I keep it around. Is it the healthiest thing? No, because obviously teriyaki sauce is sweet. So it has some amount of mirin, which has a sweetener in it. That's 2 tablespoons of miso. So it does have some sweetness to it. It does have some date sugar, cane sugar, some kind of sugar in it. Hard to get away from that with teriyaki sauce. I'm sure you can make a totally healthy one with only dates, but I haven't made that one yet. Okay, this is the miso I used. It's white miso. This is an American brand called Miso Master Organic, and you can get that one at Whole Foods and you know, places that are easy to find. They probably sell it at regular grocery stores. I'm stirring the miso in. Miso is notorious for not getting dissolved. So for 4 bowls, I have this 1.5 cups of liquid. I need to go get my bowls. Of course, I put them in the wrong place. I always do that. Okay, so this miso is dissolved pretty well. Okay, so here's my sauce. So I have my sauce, I have my tofu, I have my vegetables, and I have my noodles. So let's get this assembled. And then we could actually put other things on it, like toppings. But I need my bowls first. Like you could top it with peanuts if you wanted, roasted peanuts. But I don't use that many roasted peanuts on stuff, so I didn't do that. We'll just top it with some scallions. Okay, so these bowls are just some kind of, I think they're soup bowls, but I like them. They're from Benihana. Don't ask me where I got them. I've had them forever. All right, so I'll set those bowls here, and I'm going to start with the noodles. So I'm dividing the noodles into 4 servings. So remember how I said that each packet of those noodles was a serving in my recipe, but when I started playing around with them, I decided that that was too many noodles. So then it comes down to, this is the amount of noodles in each bowl, which is closer to 1/2 cup instead of 1 cup. But what's kind of weird about it, this one got shortchanged a bit, so it needs more. What's weird about it, this is why you have to read labels, is it kind of concerned me when I read the label for these. Okay, I think those are pretty even, because what the label said is it said serving size, 1/2 of a piece, that's what's in here. 1/2 of a piece is 120 calories. Well, that's about the serving calorie size for 1/2 cup of rice, or, you know, 1/2 cup of grains that I eat. So if I were to use a whole block of the noodles in my dish, that would be like 2 servings of grains, which I don't want to eat 2 at one time. So that's why I'm using 1/2 block. Now, if you have a bigger appetite and aren't concerned about that, well, go ahead and eat the whole block of noodles. But I just wanted to explain that's why I do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to put a nice amount of vegetables. And you could even make more vegetables than that to increase the volume. You know, time constraints making a video. I didn't want to be on there all day sauteing up a bunch of vegetables, but for myself, I could see making 2 pans of vegetables and really loading the bowl up with a lot more vegetables. But it's up to you. But I'm a healthy eater. I eat the daily dozen. I kind of, you know, maintain a smaller amount of things like rice and noodles and bread just because I lost a lot of weight eating the daily dozen from Dr. Greger's How Not to Die book. And one thing I noticed when I started that plan, I was a lot heavier, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't lose weight, even though I was eating plant-based. And so then I discovered, when I started kind of measuring out grain servings and kind of keeping an eye on what I was eating, trying to eat more vegetables and lower calorie density foods, I realized what I had been doing and why I never could lose any weight for me, now this may not work the same for you, is my meals had way too many starchy foods and not enough vegetables. I tended to really like the noodles and the rice and the breads, and I would fill up on that, and I didn't really seem to have room for all the other stuff, the lower calorie density foods. And so therefore, you know, I would wonder, well, how come I can't lose any weight? You know, I'm eating plant-based, I should be losing weight like crazy. Well, no, not if you're eating a giant bowl of rice with a giant bowl of beans and tofu, beans or tofu, and then your vegetables are like the little side dish. So anyway, that's why I do what I do. Okay, so here's how I've got it plated. I have the noodles, but see, they're kind of in the corner. We don't need that many. A lot of vegetables, the tofu, which that tofu is pretty generous when you start cutting it up. And then, remember the nice sauce. So then we'll pour the sauce over it. But it's not really like a soup. We don't have a ton of sauce in there. We just have it to cover the noodles and the vegetables to give them some flavor. Now, if you wanted more sauce, you could put more sauce in there, but I just divide up what sauce I have over all of it. See, there's some undissolved miso, so I'm not going to put that in there. Then we can put some scallions on there. I'll just have a couple. Clean off my board a little bit. I love scallions, green onions on stuff. I think it gives it a little brightness. So to me, they're great. I don't think they have a real oniony taste, but my husband, he doesn't like raw onion taste on anything, so I have to be really careful on his. Like, I don't put a pile of scallions on his food. I just put very little because he'll pick them off. Okay, so scallions. Then we have Sriracha. This calls for a little Sriracha. Now, I know some of you are saying, ooh, I don't like spicy food. I don't like Sriracha. Don't put it on if you don't like Sriracha. You don't have to use it. Okay, now that is it. So I have my beautiful Rice Ramen Noodle Bowl. It's got these really good rice noodles. They're kind of al dente. Just like the vegetables have a little crunch. The tofu has been cooked. It doesn't have to be. It could be air fried for a couple minutes to heat it up, but since mine had just been cooked a little while ago, it was still fine. It was still warm. But let's say you got it out of the fridge and you were going to use your leftover tofu that you had in the refrigerator. Remember, you can always air fry tofu. You can take the tofu, put it on the tray of an air fryer, put it in the air fryer at 350 for just like 3 or 4 minutes, and check it because you don't want to make it hard like rubber. And then, you know, check it if it's warm all the way through. It's fine. Do another minute or so, reduce the heat a little bit, and then to freshen it up, you can put a little bit of low sodium soy sauce on your heated up tofu, or you could put the teriyaki sauce on it, whatever works for you. I like both. But that's it. That's this dish, this delicious rice ramen noodle bowl. You could use the brown rice noodles, and you could use any noodles. Like, let's say you had pasta, whole wheat noodles. Use that. Any noodles will work. They're cooked noodles. Just save the pasta water to make your sauce. So that's it with this dish, the rice ramen noodle bowl in my Japanese, plant-based Japanese ebook. So remember, this is at chef-julia.com, or if it's the bundle week, February 3rd through the 12th, 2023, the bundle is 111 different contributions by a bunch of different plant-based chefs and doctors and different people. And the value of the bundle is worth over $6,000, but it's $49 only during those 10 days. And the link to the bundle will be in my show notes. So be sure and follow that link and get your bundle for $49. Just think, if my ebook is $25 and somebody else's course that you like is $25, you've already spent what you would have spent for two people's ebooks or courses, and then you get 100 and something more. So why would you want that much stuff? Well, you know, there are a lot of things that are really good in the bundle. Some people have put a lot of time and effort into making some good products. And in fact, I wrote the ebook and compiled it and worked really hard to have a new thing to put in this bundle. So whether or not you buy it, please get my ebook if you like plant-based Japanese food. Those are my favorite recipes. They're things that I adapted from family recipes to try to make them plant-based, no oil, and my family loves them, the kids love them, and my husband. A lot of the food in my Japanese ebook he will eat. He does not complain about eating like something like this, a tofu bowl with noodles, or Sesame Ginger Tofu bowl, or pretty much anything Japanese plant-based he'll eat. I don't know why, but a lot of my other stuff he's not that crazy about. He doesn't like beans that much. So I hope you follow me on YouTube, subscribe to my channel if you like it, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I do Zoom classes every other month or so, and this year, I started in 2022, but this year I'm doing retreats. They're in-person retreats where you can come to my house here in Azle, Texas, and cook with me for 8 hours. And it's all about helping you on your plant-based journey, wherever you're at. If you're having trouble maintaining your lifestyle because of the people around you don't eat this way, or you're rushed for time and it's hard for you to figure out what to eat, at the retreats we have a great time trying to brainstorm ideas, and I've got a system to help people with how you can cook some core recipes and turn those into other recipes. So look on my website, chef-julia.com, for the information about the retreats and the dates and how to sign up. So I hope to see you in person at one of my retreats. But if not, keep watching my YouTube channel. I'll try to post videos on a regular basis. And I can't decide what to eat for dinner tonight, because in my videos today I've made the Rice Ramen Noodle Bowl. But in an earlier video I made my basic tofu bowl. So I've got Sesame Ginger Tofu bowl and I've got Rice Ramen Noodle Bowl. Which one would you eat? And both of the recipes are on this YouTube channel, so you don't have to decide. You could make both of them. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you back on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye-bye for now.